Hi guys, I thought for today's video I could sit down and kind of tell you how I'm doing with this big move and kind of when I cried. Well, here's Loki, so let's just have your moment. We're just gonna let him have his moment. Yeah. Okay. You have a place to put your paw, just not on my thigh. His tail's wagging. I wish y'all could see it. But look at him. His head doesn't even fit in the frame. What are you doing? What is on your head? Is that sand? He's got sand on his head. Oh, I think Micah just went to the beach. Oh. We've been here, I don't really know. We've been here about 15 days, so 2 weeks in a day. 2 weeks is a good time to kind of tell you guys what I've been kind of going through, and because the changes was huge. It was very huge for me, and yeah, so I thought I would just kind of do that. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. So I knew eventually, like, the end game for me was Florida. Like, it was just something I've talked about so much. That's why so many of you like guessed that I would move to Florida when I talked about that I was moving. Because I've known that as the end game, I've thought a lot about it. This was, even though deciding to move was last minute and it all happened in a whirlwind of a month, I still had been like prepping myself mentally for a while. And actually that's kind of why, in a way, it took so long to get to this point, because I've only really, the biggest chunk of my life since I was 6.5 was spent in Texas. I'm 40 now. And so Texas is home. It's what I've always known. I went to schools there and I had my daughter there. I raised her there. She went to schools there, you know, so I knew that because of that, because I'd always spent the biggest part of my life basically in the same county, I knew that this was going to be a struggle I was going to have when I moved. Like, I've been, again, prepping myself mentally, and I was asking myself like all the hard questions, you know. I was like, is this just because you have such a wonderful time on vacation? Like, is that what this is? And there was a point where I thought to myself, maybe I just need to go there more, you know, just go to Florida more, several times a year, and maybe like that will be enough for me. But then really my health with my cough was always in the back of my mind, and it was just something like, I've had this cough. It started when I was about 13, 14 years old, and here I am. It's still like happening even though I know more about it. Loki's under the table. Okay, we can't do that. We're gonna make them seasick. Now that I know more about it, I know how to manage it a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it was triggered by dry air. And I can't stop dry air, you know. I can do so much in my home, you know, but even then, you know, like with the last house, I had the Nest app, so it was telling me how much humidity was in the house. So even as much as you try to do in the house, you know, unless you literally have like those massive humidifiers that cost hundreds of dollars, you know, I was still struggling with air inside the house. And it was just this thing where I was just like, can I keep going the next 40 years like this? So that was a thought that I was having. The next thing that I started to think about was, okay, and I was excluding my brother and my niece and my family from this thought. Okay, I took them and I put them in a different pocket while I asked myself this one particular question. And it was, what is my lifestyle like living in Dallas? You know, I'm not really a city nighttime person. I don't get dressed up and fancy and go to dinners. I barely like go to brunch kind of thing. Really just a homebody. And other than like the shops that I like to go to, which you guys know, Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, like, you know, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, like those are my places. I thought, all right, so if I take that out of the equation, what is my other reason for staying in Texas? Again, excluding my brother from that thought. This was one of the biggest questions I asked myself, and actually what prompted the final concrete of doing this. Because again, up until I asked myself that question, I was very confused. I was like, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? I was just really scared. I've never made a move this big and being essentially by myself. Like, Micah's here with me, but you know, eventually she's gonna move and do her own thing, and I don't know that, you know, she's gonna necessarily want to root here. I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't think she knows what she's gonna do. I mean, she wants to travel, which you guys, if you guys watched like her video or her Q&A on Megan's channel, they kind of talked about like what they want to do. So I knew moving here would also mean me having to envision just kind of really ultimately being by myself, because I wasn't trying to necessarily like think that I would always have Micah here. Even if she like moved out and got her own place, she might not necessarily be here. She may be in a different state to do that. So when I asked myself again that question, I said to myself, there's no reason. That was the answer that I came up with. If I removed all of the shops that I go to, and according to how I've been living, and I've been living this way for 20 years essentially, like I've always been a homebody, probably just my whole life actually, honestly, 40 years of this. That's not to say that I can't change and want to go have more of a nightlife, but where I'm at now, when I asked myself that question, I thought, there's no reason. Essentially, right? There was nothing else about Texas in a way that I was getting anything out of. So the one thing that was missing that I really loved, that I wished I could have in my daily, weekly life, was the ocean. And I get so much healing, and I'm the happiest when I'm at the ocean. And so that's why I said, okay, with this dry air, with how my life is going, why not try? But I also knew, regardless of this, again, I knew this before I put my house up for sale, before any of that happened. I knew that this was going to be hard. I didn't think that just because when I asked myself that question that everything was going to be hunky-dory. I knew no, because I know myself. I'm one of those people where I'm like, don't move my cheese. Have you ever had to read that book? When I used to work in a corporate office, they gave us those books and we had to like read them. And I essentially, don't move my cheese is basically about being flexible or inflexible, like in a nutshell, okay? It's about, you know, not liking change. And I'm one of those people where I can do change. I just like it at a very small scale. So because I knew this about myself, I mean, I'm telling you, I literally did the work. Not only did I do the physical work of the research, but I did the work mentally. I prepped myself knowing you're gonna miss home. It's not gonna be the same. You're gonna have culture shock, and you may not like it for a long time, if at all. You know, so I jumped in knowing this. I definitely, through all of this, took a leap of faith. And you know, I was very excited. So essentially the last month, I really was mentally in a place where I was just like, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to get everything packed. And I was so happy. Like the morning, that 5 o'clock morning where you guys saw the clip of just like me showing the house at the very end, I think, was that on my vlog? If you're not subscribed to my vlog channels, that's probably where that was. But that morning, I was so calm in a storm, a massive storm. Actually, a storm so big that it was so loud, like I don't think any of the neighbors slept either, because one of my neighbors texted me, he's like, did you sleep? I was like, no. So this storm actually went on through our drive, through Texas, through all of Louisiana, to the point where it was so bad on I-20 that we had to put our hazards on just so people could see us in this massive storm. If it's like pouring down rain on a highway, that's scary. It's scary, especially on an interstate with 18-wheelers and stuff like that. But I definitely tense up. I don't cry, but like I tense up and I grip the wheel for effing dear life. And I was not like that at all. I was so calm and peaceful. I didn't feel rushed. I just felt like, what's there to rush about? I'm finally going home, is like how I felt. And it was the best drive, even through all of that rain. So finally, when we get to Mississippi, the clouds cleared up, the weather got a lot better. And then we got here and all of that changed. And again, like I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know the timeline, because you don't know. You can think to yourself, okay, like there's a possibility I'm gonna feel some type of way, but you don't know, one, if you are, and two, when. If so, when will it hit? But I remember it wasn't the next day. Micah, did we get here on a Thursday or a Friday?
Thursday.
And the movers came Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was Sunday when it hit me, where I was just like, oh my God, what I've done. What have I done? I definitely hit like a cement of culture shock. And I was just like, it's hard to explain. Maybe if you've made a big move, you kind of know. And I've talked to several different people who've kind of like gone through the same thing. And it's just, you know, again, I'm spending 34 years of my life in a state that is home. And now you're just kind of like, this is not home. And again, combined with a person like me who doesn't like to move their cheese, like that's essentially kind of a recipe for like mental disaster. But again, I knew this. But just because I know it, and as much as I mentally prepared myself, I wasn't preparing myself not to have the feelings. I was preparing myself to have them. So you can't help what you feel. And so, like, again, as much work as I did, I still hit this brick wall. And I still had the feelings of, oh my God, what have I done? And that literally hit me so hard. I just woke up the next day after the movers were gone. And it really wasn't like anything. It wasn't the overwhelming of the boxes. It was none of that. It was just, I woke up and I was like, what? And it, again, knowing it was going to happen, the feeling still took me by surprise. And then we had a flooding issue, and I had, on top of that, so here I am in this pocket of feeling like I miss home. What have I done? The washer was not connected properly. So you've got your hot and cold lines, and then you have a hose, the drain hose. The hose was not put in the hole. So when we did laundry and it goes to drain, the water drains all in the, and it was a lot of water. I'm telling you, like, this much water. I was surprised actually by how much water. I'm just like, what? How's this possible? Because it literally leaked into the garage from the laundry room. The whole laundry room, which is pretty long and big, flooded behind the washer and dryer, all in, and then it flooded the hallway and down into the whole length of the hallway, which I'll show you guys like a clip here, just to kind of give you an idea. And then it got part of the carpets wet on both the craft room and the guest bedroom, and then it flooded into the bathroom. Like, the amount of water was staggering. And we really had everything boxed up. So I was frantically grabbing what I could. I was in my head like, oh my God, mold, like what, like this is literally a brand new house, like what have I done? And we're scrambling to get every towel that we can to soak everything. It was a mess. Point of the story is it was a mess, and I cried. I cried a lot because at that point it wasn't really so much about the water. It just felt like, is this telling me I made a boo-boo? You know, it was like one of those things where it's silly, but like you think it in the moment. I definitely don't feel like that now, but in that moment, that's what I was telling myself because I was already in a negative frame of mind. I would say that this feeling lasted probably 3 or 4 days, and I started to definitely get better. Later into the first week, I was starting to feel like, okay, like I'm okay, everything's okay. And there's lots of things, again, that I love about, you know, this house and the beautiful views and the ocean being so close. But, you know, even then, you can't help but miss home. And one thing that I was not prepared for, and just FYI, this is in no way, shape, or form an insult to anybody. And maybe some people will actually understand what I'm saying, or maybe all of you will understand what I'm saying. But what I didn't expect to miss were the people from back home. And I mean strangers. I don't mean people I know, like my family. Obviously, I love and miss them. And that part hurts a lot. I'm talking about hometown people that you just see in at the store, at Hobby Lobby, like wherever. People look different. It really doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's just this thing that you just kind of maybe feel. But it's like, I didn't expect that, that you can really like tell a difference, and because people are people, and you know, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's all Americans, you know, it's all the United States. I didn't move to another country. It's, you know, Texas and Florida, and regardless, it's literally the same people, the same ages of people, the same range between babies and you know, older people and babies and older people. It's all the same, but somehow, some way, there is a difference there. And I definitely miss my Texas people. But I do know that I'm going to love the Florida people. It has nothing to do with that. It's just this thing about home that you can't quite place, or maybe it's not noticeable to some people, but yeah, so I that was one I did not expect. And but I do miss Texas, and I do miss home. And you know, ultimately I could have gone more south, right? I could have gone more South Padre, Houston, and gotten the better air and gotten the ocean. I definitely could have done that, but it was never Actually, I don't even know why. That was never a choice. It was always Florida in my heart, because when I would come to Florida, I felt like I was going home. So I know that, you know, this is home to me, and there is that feeling, and I already love all the people here. I've loved Florida for a very long time, but just because I do doesn't immediately wipe away those 36 years, you know, of my heart being in Texas. So I do feel like I'll always be a Texan. I don't think I could ever not feel like that. In all honesty, I probably wouldn't even consider myself a true Floridian. I don't even know, is there like a timeline? Is it like 20, 30 years? Like I don't even know, is there a rule to this? But I am doing better, essentially, is kind of what I'm getting at. I know it's going to be a long journey in terms of like these inner feelings. They don't necessarily come out. I don't necessarily have like a bad day because of it. It's just like things, you know, that like you compartmentalize and sort in your own mind. Because this was a drastic change for me. Again, for somebody who doesn't move their cheese, like I knew this wasn't going to be easy, but all things considered, with that formula there about me, I've been doing pretty good. I still think it will take a while to get used to the way of life. There is a slight difference. And there's a big difference. I'm gonna say this. There's a big difference with driving. But I do love Florida. And also, by the way, for all of the Floridians who were leaving me comments when I announced that I was moving here, how welcoming and sweet you were in the comments did not go unnoticed. They made me feel so good, because that essentially makes me feel like home. Like Texas has that warm Southern hospitality feeling in a lot of ways. So that made me feel so good. So thank you so much. We love being here. Micah's living her damn best life. Like, Micah, are you good? Good. She's good. This girl, she's thriving. She's in her element, okay? You do not need to worry about her. Loki's like, loves his life. He is obsessed with all the smells, the ducks and the birds that he gets to see. Like, I think that if we tried to go back, he'd be like, you know what? Just leave me with the house, I think is what he would feel. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it's a Capricorn thing. You know, she's a Sagittarius, she's wild and free, she goes with the wind. Capricorns are like, you know, I'm gonna need a to-do list, and if it doesn't fit there, we just can't do it. So, any Capricorns in the comments know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to honestly sit down, let you guys know how I'm feeling. But ultimately, because I feel like this might be confusing, I might be bouncing back and forth, I am very happy. I do feel like right now I did make the right decision for myself. And I know, again, that home will always be Texas. And again, this also felt like home to me too, right? Like whenever I would come for my vacations, I felt like I was going home. So I love both places. And yeah, so, but I did hit a hard place. I second guessed myself. I thought I made, you know, a mistake, which I knew that was going to happen. I knew I was going to think that. Again, I already pre-prepped myself. Like I knew I was actually going to think that. And I thought it. But now I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like starting to get the hang of things. I'm starting to spend obviously time here, and each day that goes by, you know, I'll get more and more rooted. It's just just part of the process. I can't cold turkey Texas, you know, so, and I didn't expect myself to. But anyways, I hope you guys liked this video and kind of an insight into my mind and my heart, which I don't normally do like on this level. The last time I did was with Loxy. Because I just kind of I like to keep everything in. But for some reason, I don't know why, I just kind of felt like I wanted to do this video. So, hope you liked it. But I am very happy. We love this house. I wake up just so peaceful and grateful, and I really, really like it. I will say this, what I really love, one of the biggest things that I love about this house is the lot size that I'm on, because in Dallas, you are literally, in some neighborhoods, you are literally sardine. The newer developments, they literally pack houses in now. But like if you go into the heart of Dallas, like Highland Park and places like that, you get bigger lots because those homes were built like in the 70s. So they were giving out more land then, right? In 2022, no. You are sardined in, and I talked about this too. I talked about how that just made me feel a little claustrophobic, and I didn't enjoy that at all. And I feel like I'm breathing a little bit better, and especially with the air, the humidity, it's gold, it's top notch. I'm still having like a little bit of my cough just because it already swung in and turned into probably a little bit of a bronchitis, but that's because I can't find my inhaler. But regardless, I know kind of once I get through the cycle, I probably won't hit it again because the air is so humid here, and it's fabulous. I love it, absolutely love it, and it's beautiful. This little town is beautiful, and yeah, so very grateful to be here. And yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll do another update in like 6 months or a year, kind of see where we're at. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.